Welcome back. Renex Energy Trading Pty Limited, in collaboration with its strategic partners, will be hosting a stakeholder workshop on the 9th of April 2024 under the theme Unlocking Renewable Energy Potential, Improving Transaction Bankability through Energy Trading. This workshop aims to provide a conduit to comprehensively develop an understanding on the value created by modern PPA structures and how to optimize and unlock this value. To share more, we are now joined telephonically by the Acting CEO and Executive Enterprise Development of Renex Energy Trading, Mr. Morris Kalunduka. Morris, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
A very good evening to you, Nina. It feels very interesting being on the other side of NBC. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Morris, just to start with, talk to us about, the objectives of the stakeholder workshop.
Right. We really, so the objective really aims to provide participants with a comprehensive understanding of Namibia's modified single buyer framework, which is predominantly or primarily the ECB, or the Electricity Control Board's framework that governs and guides our participation in the electricity supply market, right? So this role then looks at setting us up as traders or as energy aggregators, looking at how best to participate within the MSB framework. This MSB framework looks at liberalizing the market and allowing for more private sector participation within the energy supply sector. As you know, and as many of the viewers understand and know, that NamPower is the biggest supplier of power within the country, also the supplier of last resort. But the MSB has sought out to really open the market up for more private sector participation, and we thought this is a great opportunity for us to participate. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a background there. Some of our intended objectives and goals for this particular workshop is really an improved understanding of the roles and significance of traders within the MSB framework, and also demonstrating different PPA structures, that is power purchase agreement structures, their development and subsequent significance, addressing one of the key challenges when people develop, or when companies and entities develop power purchase agreements, and all related mechanisms. And I think the last really is establishing robust partnerships and a cohesive way of moving forward and addressing some of the challenges that are faced within the market.
Provide a bit more detail for us, Morris, on the agenda and topics that will be covered during the workshop.
Okay, so we really tried to have a holistic agenda and program, but we also understood that some of the things that we're going to be discussing, or some of the issues that need to be discussed, we will not get really enough time to go through them. But it's, from an agenda perspective, the MSB and the regulatory environment and the framework that governs the electricity sector and the supply and demand of the sector, the participation of it, looking from a market operator perspective, looking at a trader's perspective, also looking at the Electricity Controls Board's point and perspective, and how all of these are all cogs of the same machine, in as much as they operate individually. We also sorted in very, very significant to bring those players or those stakeholders in together. Another topic that we also feel quite important is discussing the fundamental structure of power purchase agreements, be it a power purchase agreement from an offtake perspective or even a supply perspective, and addressing issues such as hedging, bankability, which again has proven to be a bit of a challenge, because some financial institutions and their requirements for funding large power projects is such that they require quite comprehensive and quite detailed power purchase agreements. And then from an offtake perspective, being able to meet some of these requirements are some of the challenges that we're trying to address. Another topic that we are going to be having is the role of financial institutions getting to an understanding of their requirements regarding power purchase agreements, what bankability requirements look like for them, how we can best bring all the players regarding a power purchase agreement, or all the players that make up this ecosystem cohesive and work together. And then, of course, another topic that we're going to be discussing is energy attributes. This runs parallel to your power sector. As you all know, that Namibia is a party and signatory to the Paris Climate Agreement, to the Paris Climate Agreement a few years ago. And there are certain protocols and mechanisms that we subscribe to as a country. And by that virtue, many countries or many companies within Namibia can participate within the energy attribute market. So ours is to really educate and to really afford people the opportunity to understand what the energy attribute market is, how that contributes to ESG objectives, because each large company generally does have ESG objectives that they want to reach, and how they can also access green funding for green projects through some of the conduits and some of the mechanisms that are available within that particular market. So carbon credits and carbon attributes is another component that we're going to be discussing. So that essentially forms the basis of the discussions that we're going to be having.
Who are some of the guest speakers or industry experts scheduled to present at the workshop?
The first guest speaker is a gentleman, Dr. Stefan Ulrich. He is an energy economist. He is based out of Germany. He is a consultant with Renex and a very knowledgeable gentleman. He will be touching on the corporate power purchase agreements, their typical structures, long-term nature of power purchase contracts and their requirements, looking at the special care in hedging power purchase agreements, reducing economic risks, looking at mitigating some of the risk associated with power purchase agreements. So he is one of the gentlemen that we're going to be having. Also, from a banking perspective or financial institution perspective, we have a gentleman by the name of Olavi Angula. He is from RMB, Namibia. His specialty is mining and energy coverage. He's actually the manager for mining and energy coverage there. So he's going to be talking to us about power purchase agreements from a bank's perspective. And of course, we can't leave the regulator out of the room. So we saw it quite prudent to have representation from the Electricity Control Board. We have Phineas Mutota, who is the general manager for economic regulation at the ECB. He's going to be talking to us on the regulatory framework, the environment, what ECB's position is, and what ECB plans on doing within the market moving forward, just to really provide us a clear, definitive understanding as to what the market looks like from a regulatory perspective. Mm-hmm. We also then have another gentleman from the IRAC, International Standards of Carbon Credits. He is the manager for standards and compliance. He's going to be talking to us about the energy attribute environment and what that looks like. But most importantly, just guide companies or individuals and institutions from a Namibian perspective, who are trying to participate within the energy attribute framework. One of our board members, Lovisa Neshila, will also be talking to us. And again, she has a host and a wealth of knowledge in Namibia from an energy perspective. So she's going to be sharing her insights regarding that. And of course, I'll be moderating the whole discussion. So that forms the crux of some of the speakers that we have.
Fantastic.
And the topics that we're going to be discussing.
What are the expected outcomes or goals, Morris, and how will the success be measured?
Nina, some of the expected outcomes, we really want to see a truly engaging interaction and engagement at the workshop. It's not a teacher-student style of approach that we've taken. We've really elected to get people in a room from all all stakeholders, really, from your regulators to your IPPs to your commercial and industrial off-takers and large power users, and also NAM Power as the market operator, to really have an engaging discussion so that we can address a lot of the challenges from a lack of, there's a word that best describes it. It really, we want to have a concerted effort moving forward from this workshop. So looking at how do we then move forward as an industry, not as an individual entity or an individual company, doing what we necessarily do in the market, but how do we collaborate? So a very collaborative effort and engagement and initiatives really moving forward, so that if we need to lobby the market operator, NAM Power, for instance, as traders in the market, then we can do so as a group. If we need to lobby the Electricity Control Board regarding a particular issue like increasing the contestable capacity for some commercial and large power users, then we can do this as a unit, because there's more credence when we do so. So we're really hoping one of the biggest outcomes from this is to mitigate and to address a lot of the challenges of isolation within the market, within the sector, so that we can all work together.
Fantastic. Well, Morris, thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup this evening. All the best with the workshop and its outcomes.
Nina, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
That was Morris Kalunduka on the